And welcome back, folks. So we'll take it from here with Joe and Don. My name is Joe.
And I am Don.
And you are listening to a show in which two dudes talk about life with the goal to make you think, entertain you. And we do that with a variety of topics. We like to focus on positivity, mindsets, and jiu-jitsu. We also like to talk about politics. We won't stray away from that. And we also have really freaking cool guests on, which we have one today. But before we introduce our guest, Don, you know what you got to do, brother.
Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the show. You can find us on YouTube now, so we have all the episodes uploaded to YouTube. If you are watching on there, do us a favor and subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Our goal is 1,000 subscribers for our YouTube. We're at around 50 subscribers right now, so you got to start somewhere, but also that's our goal, so help us get to that. That would be awesome. Wherever you're listening right now, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever you're listening, do us a favor and just review the show, rate the show. That helps us grow the show and get our message out there. So you can follow me. I'm at Don Shoemaker Jr. Joe is at Joe Francesco 48. You can follow the podcast at We'll Take It From Here Podcast on Instagram. And yeah, guys, appreciate all the support. It's really, really cool. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, awesome. And without further ado, we'd like to introduce our guest. She is the operations. She runs the operations at Pure MMA. She is a wicked sick black belt and owner of, I'm sorry, can you repeat that donut shop again in demo?
Beignets.
Yeah. Welcome to Ashley Gauthier.
Gauthier.
Close
enough. It depends, right? So like apparently in France it's Gauthier.
Oh.
And then somebody on the phone told me a couple weeks ago, if you're in Louisiana, it's Gaucher.
Oh.
And then I was like Bobby Boucher. And then I used to that's where my brain goes. So
yeah.
So yeah, it's Gauthier, and it's not my last name, it's my husband's. So I don't really care.
Nice.
That's perfect. Awesome. Well, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
Thanks
glad to have you on.
Me.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So, you know how the show works. You listen to a couple episodes.
Yep.
We just let you introduce yourself, who you are. You go as far back as you want. You say as much as you want, and then we go from there. So just why don't you tell our audience like who you are? You know, I'm definitely interested to know, you know, your start at Pure for sure, because you're like the face.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm Ashley. I'm a mom. I have two kids, 15 and 11, and I'm a wife also. My husband, Cliff, is a law enforcement officer. He's also a former Marine. And I'm the manager of Pure MMA. So I've been working with the Main Brothers since 2020. So I started in January, and then we shut down for COVID. So then it was like, all right, now what do I do, right? So, but I've been training with them since 2014. So this is going on my 9th year of training jiu-jitsu with them. So it's been really awesome. Yeah.
That's freaking awesome. Wait, so you, oh my God. The beginning of January 2020 was when you started with them?
Yes, yep.
Damn, because I thought I came in the end of January 2020, and I thought you had been there
forever.
Yeah,
forever. I mean, I was, you know, but not in that type of a role.
Okay.
But I've kind of been like a staple, I would say, about myself, I guess. So yeah, I started with them at the old school in Denville, which was like super tiny. It was pretty cool. And I guess I could just talk right about my jiu-jitsu, how I got into it.
Yeah,
So the funny part is my husband Cliff, he's been friends with Ari Estrada since high school. They went to high school together, and they kind of like started hanging back out again, talking a lot about 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And Ari was like, dude, I want to start jiu-jitsu. Let's try to do jiu-jitsu. And there was a program at Blue Titan in Rockaway, which is like a small Krav Maga CrossFit gym. And they had this black belt they're teaching. It was like a brand new startup program. So he talked Cliff into going to try this class, right? And I had just had our youngest. So this was like a little more than 11 years ago. And he was like, babe, you should come and see what this class is all about. Like, it's really cool. So I was like, yeah, definitely. So like, I'll just sit and watch. So I like brought the baby with me. And I go there and I'm watching like all these dudes in gis. I think they were in gis. I can't remember if they wore gis or if they were no gi. And I sat there like watching these like giant, hairy, sweaty dudes just run around the room and do like an hour's worth of calisthenics, like so much warm up. And I was just like, I will never do this ever. No interest at all, like want nothing to do with this. But then a few years later, Quinn, counselor, I actually was friends with her prior to Pure because I met her through her sister.
Okay.
And our kids went to preschool together. So I had met her, and Kim Talley, she was my neighbor in high school. And I saw that they were like doing this jiu-jitsu thing at the Main Brothers gym. And they both started like messaging me like, you should come try it out. You should, they're starting a girls program. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to this girls program and try it out. And at the same time, Ari had just moved over there. So the program at Blue Titan ended. Like the black belt just kind of like gave it up. Some other black belt tried to take it over. It was like a terrible program. So everybody just kind of like left. And Ari went to Carvalho's, and Cliff just stopped training completely. And so then Ari started training at the Main Brothers. So he was there. And then I had like Quinn and Kim were there. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go try this girls class. So I went and I freaking loved it. Like absolutely loved it. And like Cliff showed up right after class and he was like, I guess we're signing up. So then we just signed up and literally that was it.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
So it's been really, really beneficial to us as a family because our kids also are involved in the gym.
Yeah.
And it's something that we do together. So he and I are like those like opposites attract type of couple, right? So like we're very different from each other. I'm like a very creative person. I love music. He like never went to a concert before in his life. I brought him to like one of his first concerts.
I feel you there, brother.
Yeah, we just don't have like a ton of things that we do in common with each other. Like we just have like very individual lives, separate, but then like obviously we're married. We love each other. We do a lot of things together, but like our interests aren't the same always. So it's just was nice that we kind of got something that we could always do together, which is pretty cool.
That is freaking cool.
Yeah.
The women's program at Pure back then, because now it's huge. You guys have a lot of women that go there. How big was it?
So Quinn was like the first female that was signed up there. And then they had some girls come from another spot. So there was this purple belt, Kim, that came from another gym that she would just kind of like pop in and train off and on. And then Ashley Rydell. George, do you know George?
Yeah,
he's the brown belt. Right. So George and Ashley go to Lobo now.
Yep.
But George is a brown belt. He hops into Pure sometimes on Thursday nights. He comes down.
Okay.
But he and her both started at Henzo Denville.
Oh, okay.
Which is where the Main Brothers started.
Okay.
So like they knew each other and that's where Brian Talley started. So like Ashley and Kim already had experience. So Ashley came as a blue belt and Kim had just started at Denville, Henzo Denville. And then they all kind of moved over to Pure. So it was Quinn, Kim Talley, Ashley, and this other girl, Kim, who was the purple belt. And really that was it. And then me. And there would be like a girl from Yanni's gym maybe would come by and train, and she was like a teenage prodigy and she would like kick the shit out of all of us at like 14 years old. And then we always had then Colleen came shortly after me because of Adrian. So actually this was before they were together. So Adrian's sister Karen joined and Colleen joined with Karen. And Adrian was training there too, and that's the beginning of the end for them. Yeah. So
the beginning of the love story.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they knew each other way before that, but yeah, it was the love of jiu-jitsu that brought them together.
Hey man, jiu-jitsu is always putting the love, right?
It is, yeah. So it fluctuated. We would get some girls that would come and stay for a few months and then kind of fall off, just like you see, normal, but it's different, right? Because we have such a huge spot at Pure. We get an influx of people, and an influx of people is 15 new members in 3 weeks, which is a lot.
That's a lot of freaking
in just
members.
jiu-jitsu, right? So then if 5 of those people fall off, you don't notice big of a difference. Where when it was just the girls' classes, it would be 8 of us, and then we'd be back down to 4. You know what I mean? So it fluctuated, but then it just started to grow. And then Quinn had it. She started getting the biggest classes, and that was in the new spot. And we would sit at around 20, 25 girls. And now we're back up to that 22, 25 girls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking at your guys' pictures that you posted for the Pure, and you guys are rocking.
Yeah, it's been really good lately. A lot of new girls, which I love because it helps me to teach.
Yeah.
You don't realize you're
sure.
teaching these fundamentals, And then you're realizing like, why did I stop using this? You know what I mean? And then it just kind of like helps my brain, like remember, a lot of muscle memory and stuff like that, which is cool. I love helping the new people. So
Definitely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely forces you when you're in anything you're doing, if you know how to do something and you start to teach, you're like, whoa, wait, I have to be crisp.
You really want to make sure you know what you're doing. Yeah. And then sometimes we have somebody that'll show up from another school that's like a purple belt. And I'm like, oh man, I got to do a good job today because I don't want them to go back to their school and be like, that girl that's teaching over there, she doesn't know what the hell she's doing.
It's a nice school, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that girl.
Well, we were talking about that off air a little bit, how when you go to, for like rolling purposes, when you go to a different school, it's like you want to respect, but you also want to rep, right? Rep and respect. Yeah. So, but now it's even worse. I would say your position's even worse.
Yeah.
Because if not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
It
is.
I think there's actually a challenge going on right now to where if there's like 115 people that show up to the morning class,
yeah.
Mikey has to go there for a year straight.
Mikey, he's like, I don't know how these people do this every morning.
I remember.
So everybody listening, everybody has to go to the morning class.
Yeah. Not that many crazy people go to Pure, sorry.
No, right? Yeah, I mean, those morning classes are pretty big.
They are, I know.
Yeah.
They have their own like crew.
Yeah.
I just want to see if that were to happen, if Mikey would actually follow through on doing that.
I mean, he did go to the Friday class. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I texted him. I was like, Mike, are you really going to go to class tomorrow? He's like, unfortunately. But he loved it. Yeah. And he was like, it's such a good vibe. You know? And that's Pure a lot of the time, right? It's just usually good vibes there. So
actually, funny thing, I may be making this up, so Quay, if I'm making this up, my bad. But I thought I remember Eric talking about how when Mikey was at the class, it changed the dynamic for him to teach because he's like, oh, now I have another black belt.
I bet.
Yeah,
it really is different.
Yeah, my friend and owner.
Yeah, you're like, oh man,
because you don't want to let them down.
You don't want to let them down. And I don't know about other people, but I have imposter syndrome, like terrible in a lot of things in life. And I'm always like, are they going to think that I like don't deserve to be a black belt? You know what I mean? Like, are they like, why did we give her black belt? You know what I mean? Like, that's just like where my brain goes to. And then I'm like trying to not be flustered when I'm talking. And like, when you're nervous and you're like teaching and speaking out loud, your voice, like you like get out of breath a little bit quicker. And I'm like sweating and I'm not like a sweaty person. And I'm just like, this is too much. It's too much.
Wait, I think I missed the only, class that you took. No, I was there for one of your classes. Yeah, you did a really good job. You did a really good job.
Yeah, every now and then they'll be like, hey, you want to fill in? It's usually Andy, like last minute. He's like, oh, by the way, do you think you could teach class tonight? And I'm like, beginner class? Yes. Friday night class, sometimes it's like, depends on who shows up, whether I'm like comfortable doing it. And it's just like, sometimes there could be like 5 black belts on the mat on Fridays.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like, even just somebody like Trevor, like he's been doing martial arts his whole life. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like imposter syndrome. Yet again, it's like, I've been doing this for 9 years. Like, who am I to be showing somebody that's been doing this his whole life what to do? Like, that's how it feels sometimes. And then I'm like, then I have to realize like everybody is different, right? Like, so we all have a different game stuff. And actually, unfortunately, Trevor and I have a very similar seated guard game.
Oh, shit.
So like when we roll together, we both sit and then we're like he jokes around. He's like, it's like a mirror because we literally won't let each other have like an inch. So we're just essentially like going from like shin to shin to like butterfly guard to shin to like reverse del hiva. And then we're just both doing the same thing. So, but like I could show him one little thing that I make that's different that might help him. You know what I mean? So like I have to remember those things, but it's really hard.
No, that definitely is very hard. And also another thing about too, like obviously, Mikey and Andy are very cognizant of who they're letting teach, right? So they definitely, even though you may feel imposter syndrome, it's definitely not because you have those skills. Yeah. And that's a good point that you brought up at the end because there's always going to be for someone else that you think might be better than you.
Right.
Your game's different.
That one detail.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
So. That's all.
Imposter syndrome. It's a hard thing to deal with, though, for sure. I've definitely been there in different scenarios.
All the time, man. It's so
annoying. I listened to this guy online, Ed Milet. He's one of the top speakers in the world right now, like motivational speakers and stuff. And he made a comment about imposter syndrome that even he feels that sometimes.
I can imagine it's pretty common.
It's a very common thing.
Yeah,
but like if Ed Milet is feeling it, then that's a testament, because this guy, he owns his own freaking island, right?
Yeah.
So it's a testament of his success, right? His achievement.
Right.
A couple dollars.
Yeah, a couple dollars here and there. So he knows what he's doing. So I guess it's maybe it's innate within us human beings.
Maybe.
Like to think that we always
just
aren't
natural.
worthy, even though we are, you know?
And I think it's probably also like how often you listen to it, right? So like there's guys that you see that are, you know, like even Mikey and Andy, if you think about it, like I can't say that I've ever seen that maybe they felt that way. You know what I mean? Where so like maybe there are people that do feel it, but just push it to the wayside. And then there's other people like me that are constantly like, oh man, like,
out
why
of breath.
am I here? What am I doing this? Like, what's going on?
Well, I feel like imposter syndrome, not even from an instructor standpoint, I guess anyone who trains jiu-jitsu, your whole career is imposter syndrome.
I literally was like, I didn't want my brown belt. I was happiest as like a 2-stripe purple belt.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe this is going to be the year that I like compete again. Like, I'm like, I feel really good as a purple belt. And then I got my brown belt and I was like, motherfucker.
Puts you into the next category.
And then like a year later, they gave me my black belt. And I was not expecting it at all. And I was like, I didn't even settle into being a brown belt yet.
Oh.
Like if you look at my brown belt in my locker, it still is like new looking.
That's awesome.
And it's like very scary at the same time as feeling like, do I actually deserve this? So like not only do you have like, you know, the target on your back because now you're a black belt. It doesn't matter that you're a girl black belt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
black belt is a black belt.
That's
like it doesn't
Got
matter.
Got it.
Technique beats strength all the time.
But also that gives you the target. So like as like a purple belt, guys would be like, all right, I'm not gonna like slam her. I'm not gonna like smash this girl to win. But now it's like I tap a black belt, it's a black belt.
Yeah,
you know what I
for
mean?
sure.
Like I always actually use Jude as a reference, and I think he's come up on this podcast quite a few times. Shane.
Yes.
And and I think it's just his age. Like I've known him since he was like 10 or 11, I think at this point.
How old is he now?
He's
21. 21. Okay.
And so like he was a kid when I first started training. And then he started taking adult classes. And at that age, you know, as a guy who's like 16, you're rolling with women. And it's like you go through those fluctuations like high school age, right? Like, I don't really know if I want to touch this girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like,
Cooties.
right. But it's not, it's like awkward.
Yeah.
Right. So like, cause that's like, you're starting to go through puberty and it's like very weird. And then you have like this adult woman that you have to like roll with. Right. So it would be like, he would just not do anything, like be like a limp noodle. Obviously he wouldn't let me like tap him, but he would be like a limp noodle. And then like he would go through a phase of where he wouldn't roll with me at all. Like he would just not ask me to roll or just say no or whatever. And then he went through a phase of where he would just kind of flow with me. And then it was like another one of no rolling at all. But once I got my black belt, man, I got like the true Jude experience. And I was like, now I know what everybody is talking about when it's like, because and it was like a switch flipped.
Yeah.
Where he was like, she's a black belt now. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I get it. It's fine. But I was like, I got the wet blanket, like the limp noodle Shane, where he just freaking pressures on top of you and you can't breathe. And I was like, wow, this is what that actually feels like.
Very methodical.
Oh my God, terrible.
Yeah.
At one point, he even like looked down and was like, are you okay? And I was like, I just can't breathe. We're good. We're good.
Yeah, no, he's a beast.
Yeah.
And it's funny though, but that's a testament though to you.
Yeah.
Because now he's coming for blood.
I know, and I'm always like dodging him now. I'm like, I got my rolls are all lined up. So I'm like, sorry, Jude, I got another one.
That's fucking.
Now you're the one dodging him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
That's
it's
freaking
really
awesome.
funny.
So you've been doing jiu-jitsu 10 years now?
This is my 9th year.
9th year.
Yeah.
Okay.
9. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's
crazy.
amazing.
Has to be pretty cool seeing Pure and all the people that you train with from day one.
It's crazy. It really is.
be
When
pretty
I
cool.
first started, Mikey was a brown belt.
Wow.
So like within my first month, I got to see him get his black belt, which was like really amazing to see as somebody that was new into that community.
For sure.
And it was at the old gym, but like seeing everybody come from like other schools to see him get his black belt, like I didn't know who any of these people were.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And like Mickey Gall was there.
Oh,
I didn't know who the
shit.
heck he was, but they trained together for a long time.
Yeah. He's a
And,
former
like,
UFC fighter, right?
Yeah, I think he might still be. I don't even know. Like Yanni was there. All these guys came from other schools to see it happen. And like when you walk into Pure and you go through the door to go inside, the picture that's right there on the wall, that's from his black belt like when he got promoted.
Oh, nice.
And everybody is like, and we had to do like the wide angle lens because it was such a tiny room. There were so many people in there.
Nice.
So it's cool to be like, I'm like in that picture.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean? Yeah,
definitely.
it's really cool.
There's a lot of meaning behind that.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
How many of the people from Pure that you started with are still here right now? To give me like an understanding, besides, of course, the obvious Mikey, Andy, and
Right. So Drew, the gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
So Drew, Paul Modus.
Yeah, Paulie. Love Paulie.
Yeah. Joe Farina.
Farina.
Joe
Nice.
Farina gave me like the worst taste of jiu-jitsu the first time.
Let's
like,
go into
ever.
that. Let's go into that.
I don't even know if he remembers this, but
he didn't say it on the show.
no, I don't think he would. I don't think it's something that would stick in his mind. I just think it's something that stuck in mine because I was like a fresh white belt and like I had no idea what I was doing. And it was the first time ever doing King of the Mat. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I just kept getting stuck with him. And it was open guard, right? And it was like I would go out and then go back around and I would get him again and go back around and get him again. And I think it was 4 times in a row. Every time he went De La Hiva, back take. Every single time. And I had no idea what the fuck he was doing. So I'm like, what is this, number one? And then number two, he just kept doing the exact same thing every time. And I was like, this guy, I don't like this guy. He's going to do the same thing to me. It's making me feel so stupid. But he's literally like the nicest guy. He's one of my favorite people to train with.
Yeah.
That was just one of those memories, right? That just sticks with somebody. And I'm like, I'll never forget that.
That's great.
So
the quadruple De La Hiva X.
Yeah.
Or De La Hiva back take, excuse me.
It was really funny.
Maybe he was doing it. I don't know if he was intentionally, but possibly he could have been intentionally doing it to be like, hey, don't do that. Don't do that.
I think he was a purple belt at the time. Okay. So like or maybe like a late like 4-stripe blue belt or something. And maybe he was just like, that was his bread and butter.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes I'll do that, you know what I mean? And then you kind of, the person realizes like, oh, maybe I need to stop giving my back or stop, you know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, okay, they finally get it.
Well, that's what white belts are for, right? To practice the moves you just learned, right?
Yes, definitely.
I'm just kidding, Don, but.
Who else? I think Fernando, the black belt, Fernando, the judo, he's also a judo black belt.
Oh, I think.
He only mostly trains in the evening.
I think is he bald?
Yeah. And he's like kind of stocky, super like freakishly strong.
And he's very, very nice, very soft-spoken.
Very soft-spoken.
Yes, I know that. Yeah, he's the first person to ever perform a jumping mount on me. Oh. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Yeah.
A jumping mount?
Or I don't,
I was jumped guard?
No, jumping mount. I don't even know if it's a thing, but I was in open guard and I was.
Oh, he jumped over
and he
your
jumped
legs.
and he like mounted me.
Yeah.
I was like,
You're like, oh, that's a thing.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Interesting. Saw that on a video once.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, so I would say the majority of the black belts, with the exception of Eric Quay, he wasn't there. Like, he didn't start until the new year.
Oh, you're pre-Quay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I hated him when he came.
No way.
I always joke
Why
around.
is that?
And you know what's funny? Cliff didn't like him either. There was a few people that I think he just kind of came in. He came in as like a blue belt, and he was, like he knew Mikey, I think, and like he came in with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder,
Yeah.
and he was super arrogant. And I always joke around like he's the only guy that's ever made a 180 a 180 flip kick in my heart. Like literally love him to death.
Awesome.
Love him.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
I didn't even want to talk to him. Couldn't stand him when he first showed up.
Oh,
so
isn't
funny.
that incredible?
It is incredible.
Oh my God.
It's so funny.
That is funny. Yeah, he was one of the first ones I saw, and I remember he was quiet, and I was like, I didn't know what to make of him.
Yeah,
but
he's
he's mad cool. No, but what I like too about him is he's the type of guy where like if you're not doing anything in a roll and he knows you really well, he'll start simulating punches like ground and pound, and then that's like get your ass moving. No, of course. There's a certain level, so I guess that he doesn't respect me. No, I'm just kidding. That's perfect.
Yeah, I think Adrian was there too before I was, and Craig.
Craig,
Craig. He's so freaking funny.
I've only met him once when he taught a seminar.
Yeah, that's right. He taught at our tenure, or no, when Colleen and I got our brown belts. Yep. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that was funny.
That's perfect.
He's on another level, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember from Craig is him showing something and being like, you have to be violent sometimes. He goes, if I will fart my way out of a submission, if I have to. Yeah.
Yes, and he will. He will.
Do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, right? Yeah. Exactly.
So funny.
So in the midst of this whole, you're doing jiu-jitsu, everything's going well. Is this like, is that when like you and, because I want to learn more about like the donut shop. Right?
Sure.
When did that open? Like, what was the decision going through it? Did you guys already always have this idea, or was it just spontaneous? Because I remember you'd mentioned that, like, what do I do? Did it open up during or after COVID or before?
Yeah. So there's like a little bit of a story that I'm going to preface it with.
Sure.
Shortly after we joined Pure, Cliff had charges filed against him.
Oh, shit.
At his work.
Okay.
So they ended it was a very long. Sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
I talk with my hands. I talk with my hands a lot.
You might be Italian. Are you Italian?
No, but it's because my daughter's deaf.
Oh, okay.
So we do.
Okay.
I use sign language with her at home. So
for those listening that didn't know what just happened,
yes.
Ashley
was
really loud in my ear. I'm just scared that.
I know.
This is going to be a good story. Ashley's getting in the heat right now. I love it.
So yeah, I'm trying to think of a way to like make this into like a zip file here for you guys.
No worries.
So essentially, long story short, was like my husband's cousin got a DWI on 80 in Rockaway. So my husband's a cop in Rockaway, and it was a state trooper. Cliff literally had nothing to do with this. Yeah. And like when his aunt went to the police station to pick up her son, she was just like, I don't know if it helps, but my nephew is a cop in this town. And he's like, this trooper was like, oh, let me see. Like, do you have his gold card or whatever? And she like pulled it out, and he was like, all right, I'll give him a call or whatever. You know, it's that like the good old boy, like thin blue line, whatever. And I guess they talked. I can't even tell you like the whole story because at this point it's been like 9 years and kind of like some of the worst years of our life. So I pushed it way into the back of the filing cabinet. So I'm assuming that they talk because a lot of times what happens is like they hit you with the book, right? Like they give you like the failure to maintain lanes and then driving under the influence and every ticket under the sun. And then eventually they end up like you plead it down and it ends up just being like loss of license or whatever. So I'm assuming what happened was he called Cliff, they like touched base, and he was like, all right, I'll just, maybe get rid of one of those, like the failure to maintain lanes, something that'll be like points, whatever. That's usually like the case, right? So as far as we knew, that was what was happening. Like we just assumed that his cousin was going to go to court and then he was going to just lose his license. Like he did something stupid. He deserved to lose his license. Yeah. Whatever. And then like all of a sudden there's like an IA like investigating Cliff. And then like they come and they like they don't like put him under arrest, but essentially the prosecutor's office charges him with witness tampering. Oh man. Oh wow. Which is a 5-year jail sentence if you are convicted. So literally this comes mandatory. Holy 5 years. Oh my god. So this essentially came, I mean, at least for me, it came out of left field. I had no idea that this was even like a possibility. I didn't even know about the DW, like nothing. I knew nothing. And the story is what happened was the state trooper apparently was like, I don't know, up for some type of like a special assignment where like it's like third party, maybe they get assigned to do like a road job. But they give these to you as like a reward. But then you kind of have to be like doing a good job. Mm-hmm. And he didn't show up for the court case for Cliff's cousin. So they asked him, like his sergeant, whoever's above him, asks him, why didn't you show up for this court case? And he says, the cop who's his cousin told me not to. Oh my God. And Cliff is like, that's not how it works. Like, number one, even if I did tell you that, why would you not go? Right. Like, wouldn't you be like, maybe I'll just like drop this ticket. You have to go to the court case, right? Like, so just that one like statement that this trooper made, I don't know if it was like his boss that like brought it to the attention of the prosecutors or whatever, but they like literally had it out for Cliff. Wow. Like, but they couldn't prove anything. It was really like a he said, she said, right? So it was 3.5 years basically that he was suspended with no pay. And at the same time, our youngest, I just had mentioned before, she's deaf. Mm-hmm. So she was also getting ABA therapy because they had put her on the autism spectrum when she was younger. And I was staying home with her, so I wasn't working because she had like 40 hours of in-home therapy a week. Yeah. So it was like literally having a full-time job. Mm-hmm. I had like 3 therapists in the house every single day. And then all of a sudden he gets laid off with no pay, no insurance. She has special needs. She wears cochlear implants. She has to go to New York to see her doctor. So it just was like this whole like combustion of like things all at once that happened. And in that same time frame, Cliff and his aunt were thinking about doing something together restaurant-wise. So she had always done restaurants. She owned a bar. She had some catering companies in the past, and Cliff went to culinary school. So they always wanted to do something together. And originally it was cupcakes. But then cupcakes like blew up, right? They had like cupcake wars, and then all of these stores were popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's actually this place, we used to go to Ocean City, Maryland every year for vacation. Like with his family, there would be like 20 of us.
Gotcha.
And there's a place down there called the Fractured Prune, which is a donut place. And it was like the same model, basically. It's like hot hand-dipped donuts.
Oh, nice.
And there's nothing like that up here, right? So they were like, let's look into doing this. So it actually, like, timing-wise, worked out pretty well because, unfortunately, since he wasn't working, but fortunately, he was able to put in a lot of time of starting the donut shop. So this is actually our 10th year.
Oh, congrats.
That Beignets is open.
Good for
Yeah. So I literally basically have nothing to do with the place. I did like the blackboards. I did the window art when they first opened and stuff. And like every now and then maybe I'll go in and change like the prices or something on the board. I used to do the social media, but now we have like all these young girls that work there and that's like their life, right? So I'm like, here, like you take the pictures and post to Instagram and stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I literally don't have anything to do with it except eat the donuts sometimes or bring them places.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna say you're
usually
the one that everyone loves, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is your favorite flavor? What's your favorite donut?
Oh,
What's
man.
the go-to?
For me, it's so I have two, so it depends on like my mood for the day. Like a typical like kind of sweet tooth day, but not like looking for something too sweet. It's just the Nico's, which is just cinnamon sugar. It's just a hot donut rolled in cinnamon sugar. That's it.
Got it.
And then they're all named after the kids in our family.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
the one that's named after our youngest daughter, the Cameron Strawberry Fields, it's a strawberry glaze with white chocolate mini chips on it. So it like they're like just starting to melt because the donut is hot. It's really good. But the most common one, I think, and it's the one that everybody raves about when I bring it places, is like the maple bacon. It's like a maple glaze with chopped up bacon on it.
Oh man.
I'm just trying to think about what that could possibly
I'm
taste
trying to
like.
think about what it's like in my mouth right now.
I'm trying to game plan when I can get there tomorrow morning. When do you guys open?
Yeah, I think it's 8 tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
8 to 4.
I want those melted chocolate chip ones, the Camerons.
Sound
Yeah,
amazing.
that's a good one.
I think I might have to try every single one.
They're
just
little
to-
too,
Okay.
so like they're not like a big like Dunkin'
Got it.
Donut yeast donut. It's a cake donut. So they're little, so you can just like what we usually do is like cut them in half, and then
Okay.
everybody tries it.
Yeah, for sure.
They're really good.
And how's that? You're not really a huge part of it, you just said, but how's that business going? And
So it's actually going really well. The quarantine, like everything being closed during COVID, really changed the business for us. We were able to be one of the stores that opened a little bit earlier than like having to wait until July. Like a lot of the places had to wait because we could do takeout. Like you couldn't sit and have your donuts, but we could do takeout, and we'd have like we went in and taped the place so everybody stayed 6 feet away from each other, and there would be like a line down the freaking block.
thank God you did that, by the way.
Saving America one donut at a time.
guys saved them.
Everybody just making people smile with calories.
God.
Food does make people happy.
It does.
I mean, it makes me happy.
If
so.
you would have done 5 feet, who knows?
Yeah.
We won't even be here.
Oh, I know. You're right. I
We'd be
know.
dead.
I know. Oh man.
So no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
awesome.
So at that time, I was like going in and working with Cliff off and on, just because like we're not gonna pay like these, and then like a lot of times we have high schoolers that come in and work, so their parents aren't feeling comfortable with them coming in during the pandemic and everything, and it's not like I was at Pure, so I would just go in every now and then just to kind of help filter through the lines. Not like I'm like the greatest line worker, but it's just helpful. It's helpful. So
And where are you located? Just for anybody
we're
listening?
in Denville, New Jersey, so it's actually on Broadway, which is like the main street where everything is. So like Pliables is there, and Thatcher McGee's is there. So we're on the same side as Thatcher's, which is cool. Right next to the liquor store and the CBD shop. So like
good little
get some
combo.
CBD, get some booze, get some donuts, and go home.
Hey, go home. That's perfect. Yeah, I was thinking if you guys were open really, really late,
know.
you guys would get the influx from Thatcher's.
There was like a thought about that, but it just wasn't like worth it, right?
Yeah,
so we did try to stay open until like 6 a couple of weeks in the beginning, and it just like we have people say that, but it's like, well, are you going to be here every Saturday after you drink? So so yeah, just because you're paying right the overhead, with all the lights on, and then the stuff you're using, and then whoever's working it and whatever. So so yeah, it's been.
Do you guys ever like travel to like events or anything like that?
So Cliff and his aunt have done a couple of different things. Like there's a big lacrosse tournament in, I think it's in Denville or Rockaway, that they have every year. And one of the moms who used to bring her kids to train at Pure is like the head of it. And she used to have them come out, but they would just pre-make the donuts. So like it's a robot that makes the donuts at like as you're there. Oh, wow. So like you have to bring that whole fryer robot with you, which then we'd have to shut down the shop for that to go there.
Gotcha.
But we do sometimes events because we also sell beignets, which is like what people think of in Louisiana, the Café du Monde, like the square, doughy. Okay. So ours are a little bit different. They're the French kind. So it's like a layered, crispy puff pastry. Ooh. And then you put powdered sugar or cinnamon sugar on top of it. So those you just make in a regular like a fry basket.
Got it.
So we can travel with that. So like they've gone and done like things like that. But most of I mean like we have busy like walk-in wise, but a lot of our clientele's businesses and it's catering.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So like
that's awesome.
We have some drug reps that have like their monthly allowance that they're allowed to use on stuff to bring to doctors' offices that come in and just use us.
That's awesome.
And then we have like a lot of businesses in the areas or schools like will come in and pick up a bunch in the morning and bring it for like the afternoon or whatever. And then we do a lot of birthdays and weddings. We did Colleen and Adrian's wedding. Their like wedding cake was all donuts, all different donuts. Yeah.
Cool.
So
they must have loved that.
Yeah, it's cool. Really it's like they do like it's tiered and then all different donuts, and then depending on how many, like we have a big board and they like go out on the board. There's like a lot of donuts. Yeah, it's fun. Man. So we get a lot of that. People do donut walls now, like donuts on a stick. It's like
it's just one of those things.
I'm like, hey, it works for us.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't have thought of it, but it's like really cool.
Donuts like that, especially ones that look cool and like have the different things on it. Like there's who doesn't like that?
Right. And you can pick whatever you want, right? So like. You want salty sweet, make it salty sweet. You know what I mean? Awesome. It's not like you have to do what we tell you to do. So
we'll have to talk a little bit more offline. Yeah. There's definitely a couple of things I have in mind where we could do together.
There you go.
Yeah. It would be awesome. So
super fun.
Yeah. Actually I want to go back and I want to ask, because you said it was like what allowed the store to open was that incident, right?
Right.
And you said it was one of the hardest years of your life, right?
Yeah, a few of them, yeah.
Yeah. Like go into whatever you're comfortable with for your experience from it. Like how much did you grow from it? What did you learn about yourself from that?
So it's so hard to like pinpoint exactly what we learned from it. One thing for sure was that Cliff for some reason it really seemed like they were using him as like a poster child, right? For like what not to do. And he was like, but he didn't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So like to him, it was like, I know I'm not guilty. So I'm not just going to like roll over, right? And take like, they offered him so many deals to get him to like admit guilt.
Yeah.
And get off without having to, like, it was like you still would, like he would have lost his job probably. Maybe like not go to jail. So it was like, well, if you don't want to do 5 years in state prison, then you could just admit you're guilty and lose your job and lose your benefits. And you know what I mean? Like he's done this for however, at that point, I want to say it was like he was 13 years in and he had bought back his 4 years military time. So like he put a lot of time and effort into this. And like, it's not for nothing. Like he's good at what he does. Like at the time they were sending him to the academy, he was learning to be an instructor. The baton that they use is called the monadnock. He was like licensed to teach the monadnock at the academy. Like they put like a lot of time and effort into him too. So it's like, we know at the time it wasn't like his department that was trying to screw him. It was the prosecutors. So whatever it was that they were trying to like really just make him out to be like what not to do,
Yeah.
right? Like we couldn't understand, like they keep offering us deals. So like obviously they know there's nothing here.
Yeah.
So we had to get a lawyer. So obviously he has the union, but they're not like, you know, we have a couple lawyers that take the union payment, but it's like, maybe we need to like find somebody that's like legit.
Your
like,
cousin Vinny is the one.
yeah, basically. Yeah. Use Utes. Hey, use Utes are you're guilty. So we got this criminal defense lawyer because it's a criminal case, right? And it was not cheap. It was like freaking ridiculously expensive. And we didn't have the money to pay for him. So we're like hoping like the union's going to pay a portion of it at least. And it just ended up being like constant. Like it went through, I can't even tell you the exact amount of people, but it was along the lines of like 6 different prosecutors were assigned to the case because like it would just fall to the wayside because like nobody, they knew there had to be somebody that was like, we don't actually have something. So we're just going to like hang this guy out to dry until he literally has to make the choice of pleading guilty to take a deal, or he's just going to have to like go monetarily down the hole. And, you know, it's just so much stress. And the amount of stress, like one of the things that I learned that was terrible was how stress really affects your body.
Damn.
Right. Wow. So like between the two of us, it was just like we both aged. Like, and like if you saw like, even I have some friends that like hadn't seen Cliff for like maybe like 6 months or a year or something, because it was 3.5 years that he was out of work. Time. And they'd be like, wow, like Cliff, this has really like aged him. Like it affected his hair. It affected both of our weight. It affects your skin. It literally like affects everything. So avoid stress as much as you can. That's my first tip. And really his resilience, right? So like obviously, of course, I was supporting him, but the fact that he, like Cliff is very old school, right? And I'm sure like you guys are probably along the same lines as him. Like he's like a good old like American blue collar, like he provides for his family.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So for him to go from a spot where he can't provide for his family was really hard for him. And it was hard for me too, because then I'm like, I'm feeling guilty because I was staying home for this, this time period. And I know that I was helping our daughter, but I wasn't making money at that time. And it's like, if I had been making money, like for the last 2 years, that it would have been at least some kind of help, that we would have like a savings or something.
Start to play the what if games, man.
It's
Your
so
mind starts going
it's so
everywhere.
hard. It's so hard. So I would say between like his resilience and really the support, like you start to find out who people really are when you're going through a tough time, right? So obviously like our families were really, really supportive. His parents, like they lent us money, like they helped us out so much. Mikey and Andy, they like wouldn't let us pay to come to the gym. And we literally were like not even a full year in when this happened. And they just were so supportive. And then they were always supporting, like once we opened the donut shop, they always were making sure that they were coming in. When Andy would fight, he would have his like post-fight cheat meal would be the day he got home from his fight, and he would have everybody come to Beignets and like meet him there. And everybody would have donuts. You know what I mean? It was just like the little things, right? Like people always reaching out to us to see what we needed. The guys at his work, like they have 2 unions. So he's FOP and they also have PBA. They both were like raising money for us and giving us like ShopRite gift cards for like $350. Cause that's like, we had like 3 Christmases that we didn't have, you know what I mean? And thankfully, I mean, it was really just about a year with no income. And then I started to make a lot of money in a pyramid scheme. So
wait, actually, or no?
No, for real.
Oh, I thought that was like a joke.
No, for real. I can go into that too. But
wait. Yeah, you can't say that.
No, I know.
Just drop that, and then all of a sudden.
So I guess I could segue into that also. So we were probably like 8 to 9 months into like his loss of job or his loss of pay, and I went back to work where I was working previously. So I didn't go to college. I graduated high school. I went right to start working, so I went right into banking.
Cool.
So I started out as just a bank teller, and then I moved my way up to teller manager, and then I became like a customer service representative and stuff. And then I was like headhunted kind of by one of my customers. So she was a settlement coordinator for an asbestos defense law firm. And she was like, hey, like, you will do a really good job. Do you want to come work for me? So I went and started working for her. And it was great. It was a family-owned place. It's one of the largest asbestos defense firms in America. They had 12 offices across the country.
Wow.
And they had huge name insurance people like that were their clients. So it was like Liberty Mutual was our client, like all of the biggest names that you could think of. But at the time, it also was the insurance companies of the World Trade Center. So we handled a lot of the 9/11 funds for like the families of like the people that got sick in Ground Zero after working there for the rescue attempts, and then the cleanup and everything. So like it was super busy, and I loved it there. But when it came down to our daughter needing the extra care, I started to work from home. So and then I left and started to do all the therapy with her. So then I went back there part-time, right? Because like he was doing the donut shop, and then he was also trying to take any type of job that he could find. So like one of our very good friends, his dad was a contractor. So he would bring Cliff out to like job sites and pay him in cash because it was like they knew like he needed the money, right? Mm-hmm. So I was working part-time, and I was always like on Facebook, and this company started popping up. I started seeing like girls that I went to high school with talking about it, and it was that company LuLaRoe. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I didn't.
No,
I haven't heard of that.
So it's probably because you guys are men, but they were known for these leggings that they would make, and they were like the softest leggings in the world. But there was like a catch to it. They were all patterns. So like any of the girls that you would see out in like the last 8 years that had like crazy pattern leggings, they were probably LuLaRoe. Mm-hmm. They were only, you could only buy them online. You could only buy them from a consultant, a representative of the company. And every pattern was a limited edition. So like they would only make like 5,000 pairs in this pattern. And then that was it. You wouldn't see it again ever. So like we didn't have the extra money, but I was like, man, I really want to try these, right? So a girl that I went to high school with, I was talking to her about it. I'm like, what is this company? And she's like, oh, so-and-so from high school. She sells them, but like there's also buy-sell trade groups that you can go on and find them for cheaper. So you're not paying the full price. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to go do that because I'm not going to pay $25 for a pair of pants, but like $10 to try them out. And I freaking loved them. And I was like, this is great. So like, tell me more about this company. And it was like a $5,000 buy-in. You pick like whatever styles you want to carry because it wasn't just pants, it was other stuff too. And then you just sell them. And it was literally like if you searched at that time, so this was like 2015, if you searched LuLaRoe on Facebook, it was like everywhere, blown up. Like people were talking about it like crazy. So I like researched everything, and I said to Cliff, I was like, listen, like these people are making a lot of money. Like they're selling these pants, and it's so stupid. They're like just really soft leggings. Okay. That's all it is. And people are going crazy for it because it's like the novelty, right? So it's a novelty because they know that it's limited. Yeah. So then they're like, I'm going to buy it now. Even if you don't like it, you're like, I don't want to miss out on it.
True.
Right. So he was like, if you like want to do this, I think that you can do it. And we took 3 credit cards that we only had like $1,500 limit on. And I like signed up for this company to start selling this stuff. So it was literally the last of our our credit that we had. So we really like put all our eggs in one basket. And I got really fortunate. So like you have to sign up under somebody, which is how, right, the pyramid starts to grow.
Yep.
So I didn't want to sign up under the girl that I knew because we didn't get along in high school. And I was just like, nah, I don't want to make money for her. So I'm going to just find a random person. So I found this random lady, never met her before. She lives in New Hampshire. And I was like, hey, I want to sign up, but like, you can be my sponsor, but I just want you to leave me alone. Like, I just want to do my own thing. I don't want you to tell me what to do or anything. And she's like, all right, cool. So like I was the first person that she signed up. So she started making money off of my sales. So where it started, LuLaRoe would pay you based off of what your team sold. So like whatever I sold doesn't matter. I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. What I purchased from the company. So you hold your own inventory, which is different from most MLMs. Most of the time, if like, not that you guys would be going to Tupperware parties, but maybe your moms, you go, they have a catalog and you buy, and then it comes shipped to you. So the person that's selling doesn't bring all of this inventory. They just bring like a couple things from their personal stash, and then they bring the catalog and you order. LuLaRoe, you had to buy your inventory, and like we would have these like dress parties. So you would do online sales, but then the big thing was that you could do a pop-up and you could bring all of your inventory to a person's house and set it up on racks, and they would invite like all these ladies over and they would just buy you out of all of your shit because it was so popular.
Wow.
So I was making tons of money. Like I was selling so much online, and then I was going to people's houses, which was a shit ton of work because I'm dragging like 600 pieces of clothing with me on hangers, bringing in like rolling racks. Like you have to set it up to look nice. It's like a little boutique. So then, you know, as I'm buying from the company to replenish, my sponsor is making like 5% off of what I'm purchasing. So off of my wholesale purchases from the company. And then you mark it up 50%. So then what I'm making off of that, the 50%, then you break it up. Some goes back in to reinvest, right? And then I buy some other things to make it a little bit better. Then one day my sponsor reaches out to me and she's like, hey, she's like super business minded. She's like, I was looking at the way that this all works, and I was trying to figure out how to go about making the most money from here. And I've decided that I'm going to build my team, but I'm going to build it strategically. So it's not going to be organic. It's going to be how I want it to build to basically take advantage of the amount of money. So you make 5% off of your first downline, and then it goes down from there. So it's 5% off of their orders, then 3% off of the people below them, and then 1% off of the people below them. But the more people that you add in certain lines, you go up in like status, right? So like you start out as a sponsor, then you go up as a trainer. So when you get a trainer, you get like an additional point, which is worth a certain percentage of the company's income for the year or for the month. So every month you're getting a bonus check, right? And it's based off of this pyramid that you're building. So she figured out how to build the quickest pyramid to get everybody at the top to make the most money, including herself. But the kicker was, in order for her to make all of like everything that was available to her, everybody else has to hit their numbers, right? So
everybody's got to win.
Everybody, right? So like I have to hit a certain amount of pieces purchased from the company. People under me have to hit a certain amount of pieces from the company, and so on and so forth. And it's a certain amount of people under you for you to hit this status, right? So like for a trainer, you have to have 3 people under you, 3 or more. And then it goes up from there, trainer, mentor, whatever. So all of a sudden within a year, she's like placing all of these people with me and then placing people with them. So she's like just like strategically building this company. And I'm making like these sponsor checks just by buying from the company. So then you're like, all right, well, this girl didn't hit her number, but I need to get this extra $3,500. But I had some extra money from last month. So let me sign in on your name and I'll purchase to make you hit your number so that I hit my numbers so that she hits her numbers. So you were like gaming the system.
Incredible.
So we could all make money.
Yeah.
And at one point, I had in lines like 175 people under me.
Wow.
Selling.
That's a lot.
A lot. Selling. And we're like, this is amazing, right? Because I'm making all this money. So I was making money off of all of those people. So like I started making like $3,000 a month as a bonus, not like off of my sales. And then I started making like $8,000 a month. And then I started making like $16,000 a month based off of
serious money.
Serious money.
Holy
But Cliff wasn't making, like he wasn't working at, I mean, he was
Right.
working, but we didn't have his income at the time. So it was like perfect, right? Perfect timing, because not only did we need like the monthly income, but we needed to pay down our debt and pay back his parents and pay, you know what I mean? Like all this stuff. So it wasn't like we had an influx of money that we were like, woohoo. Like we always used to talk about how like if he was making money and I was making money, like if he had his regular income, we would have been like freaking balling.
Yeah,
like because
sure.
like, you know, we were 1 month, we literally were like flat ass broke. And then literally like a year later, I'm making, you know, like $16,000 a month for 6 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But they started to realize what happened. So the reason I asked you, so the reason I asked you guys if you had heard of it is because there's a couple documentaries about it now. It's called there's one on Amazon Prime called Rich.
Oh.
And it's about the company. So I'm sure it's not going to be a surprise to you, but the owners, they're a Mormon family from Utah. And they,
you're from Utah?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, wow.
And they were like really big in the church, and they had done all these other like big name MLMs that they were like really, that benefited them really well. And then the wife just came up with this idea that she was going to go buy wholesale dresses and bring them to people's houses. And that was how this all was born. And then it started getting really huge, right? So like when I joined, there was under 5,000 people selling. By the end of that year, there was about 13,000 people selling. And then it just kept getting more and more and more and more. So it grew. Then they couldn't keep up with the orders. Then they couldn't keep up with the quality. Then they could, you know what I mean? And it was just like this like domino effect of like shit that started happening.
Yeah.
So then they started realizing also that people were really like gaming the system, and they were paying a lot. Like there was people that were making over $1 million on bonuses in a year.
God.
In a year, over $1 million, just in bonuses, not even in what they were selling. So it was crazy. And they would have like these huge events where we would go out to California every quarter, and it would be like the leadership event. And I'll never forget, and he might not even remember it, but I would be like out there and it was like, oh, like women's empowerment, which is like, that's not really my thing. Like I like girls, but I've always been like the guy's girl, where I've like always had more guy friends than girlfriends. And like my longest friend is a girl. That's really it. Like that's mostly it. And I'm like this, like I didn't realize it until like I started backing away. I'm like, what is this? What am I doing? And I remember being out at like one of the events, and it was huge. There was like 30,000 people there in like the Anaheim Convention Center. They would like, they had Katy Perry come and do like the closing night. They had, Kelly Clarkson come, like they had Mario Lopez there. Like they would do all of these like elaborate things. And then I had taken like a a video. And I remember posting it and Mikey being like, it looks like a cult. And I was like, I laughed it off at the time. No, I like laughed it off. But then like
you don't realize you're in one when you're actually in one.
So it was like they were trying to get that like cult-like indoctrination, right? So it's like no matter how much wrong they did, it was like, well, look at all these great things, right? Like Katy Perry was here. Look at all these girlfriends I have. Look at, these clothes that I get to wear, which were fucking butt ugly, by the way. Like, I look back at the clothes that, like, pictures of me, and I was like, what the fuck was I doing? Like, I had, like, fake lashes. I'm like, this literally is not who I am. It really did, like, change because you're, like, trying to keep up with, like, the Kardashians, right? So, like, I'd see these women that were there making, like, $1 million, and I'm like, I want to be like her. I just wanted to make the money she made. But then I'm like, oh, she looks so pretty. Let me get that same skirt. Let me get that, you know what I mean? And it was just like this like crazy, like mental like adjustment thing that it was doing to you. Like, and it wasn't just me that started to realize it. So they changed the compensation plan. They're like, oh, let's go on a cruise. So we all go on this awesome cruise with like all our friends. And then they're like, by the way, we're not going to pay you based off of what you're buying anymore. Now we're only going to pay you off of what your team is selling. Which is technically the legal way to do it. What they were doing previous was not legal.
It wasn't legal?
So the FCC got wind of what they were doing and found out that the law is that the items that are made have to make it to the end user. But they were sitting in our storerooms, right? So like we weren't a brick and mortar building. You're not supposed to hold an inventory.
Yeah.
So we were buying, so they're paying us based on what we're buying from them. But they actually should have been making sure that those items were going to the people that were buying it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So instead of sitting there, so they weren't making it to the end user. So they had to switch like real quick, but they didn't tell anybody. They just dropped it on us. And then they were like, oh, and by the way, we're not accepting credit cards anymore. You can only use your LuLaRoe debit card that now gets preloaded with the funds from your sales. So not only are they in charge of our money now, we can't use outside credit for beneficial reasons to you because we don't want to put anybody in like monetary distress. And then they change our compensation plan, which ends up being like at least a 50% decrease in what people were making. so like morale, right, starts to like go down the tubes and people aren't selling. And it's just like, so it was nice while it lasted.
Yeah.
It really helped Cliff and I big
Yeah.
time. And then kind of helped me to like move on to other things after that.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I've never heard a success story with like a pyramid.
Yeah, right.
And also,
like, you actually made money.
Yeah,
I was waiting for you to get to the point where like
the
the FBI showed up.
No, but they are getting like the attorney general has pressed charges against them. They've been to all of these lawsuits because of like bait and switch stuff. Like it's literally gone down the tube. So I got out at the right time. There's still people selling for them. Like people that I know, like people that were on my team are still selling for them.
Really?
That's wild.
And I'm like, I don't know how they're still doing it. Like, I don't know.
Well, do you think that like at the time, did you realize you were in an MLM?
I knew it was an MLM. But I was like, and I knew, like, I'm like, I know the pyramid scheme thing, right? But like, we're making so much money.
Of course.
That I was like, whatever. And then it ends up being like, oh, well, some of the money you make should be reinvested into your team. So like when you're out at these leadership events, you should be taking your team to dinner and paying for it. You should. And I'm like, yeah, like they are making me a lot of money. So I should do that, right? So then I'm like spending this money on these people that I don't even freaking know, right? Then I start spending all of my time like helping them with their issues because the home office doesn't want to hear about it. That's my job. So now I'm like literally managing this team that I didn't sign up. Like, yeah, I signed up to be their like sponsor or whatever, but like I'm not a representative. Like I have no idea what's going on with your leggings and why they stink when you got them or why it looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa is a giant penis. And you know what I mean? Like that, there's tons of prints where people will be like, this looks like literally Bigfoot is coming out of my vagina. Like it's you could look it up. There's fails, LuLaRoe fails of so many things, and that was because the quality just started going down. They were cutting corners on everything. Then there was like holes. People would like wear leggings out, and all of a sudden there'd be a huge hole in their ass while they're out in public.
No,
and then they would post
hilarious.
pictures and like tag. So then like all our customers are seeing that, and then now there's 5 consultants. Now there's 150 consultants in Morris County. So like, how am I supposed to sell to people when now there's so many of us? It was just like a disaster. But I did meet 5 of my closest friends through LuLaRoe, which is really cool. So like, we did get something good out of it.
Definitely.
Yeah. So.
Well, I'm glad that you made it out alive of that whole situation.
I did make it out alive.
Like the money's in the account.
Yes.
It's spent for.
It's gone. It's gone, but it was worth it. It was worth it. And I went to California a bunch of times.
That's cool.
I went to Texas, Chicago. It was pretty cool. Like I traveled more than I ever had. Before, which was cool.
I think that's the really interesting part. I guess like when I think you said Mikey texted you and like this looks like a cult. Yeah. Because from the outside looking in, like that stuff is very obvious. But when you're in the middle of it, you're like,
I'm like, no way. This is like we're having so much fun. Whereas like there's 20,000 of us. We're all wearing like this brand that's ugly as shit, and we don't even realize it. You know what I mean? And we're like, oh, it's crazy. And it was fun. It was fun, but
you ever seen like online, like because if you're in that and you don't realize you're in a pyramid scheme, people are like explaining it to somebody else. And like, no, it's not a pyramid scheme. Not. Like this person's here, and then they start drawing it,
and it's literally a pyramid.
It's literally a pyramid.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
That's funny.
It was they specifically like you could go on their site, like the back office, and you could expand your team. And at one point, like my team was so large that it wouldn't fit on the screen. So like I'd have to scroll. And I think they did that purposely because they made it into like a line graph instead of like a pyramid so that people wouldn't pick up on it.
That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
That is
really
so funny. Oh my God. Yeah. But you know what? Do you think a lot of your friends would have even recognized it even if there was like a pyramid drawn? You think everyone was too immersed in that culture?
We were so immersed. I think that I did get out like without very much of like the drama and stuff. Like it was the 6 of us that stayed really close friends were always kind of like talking shit about like the owners on the down low. Like we'd always kind of like, really, he said that? Like there's things that they were reporting on. Like the wife would be like, sometimes, like legit on stage in front of thousands of people, she'd be like, this is for the wives out there. Sometimes when your man isn't happy, you might just have to get down on your knees. And she's like a 65-year-old woman.
Word.
Yeah,
what
it was
the fuck?
It was crazy. And then like they would like the husband started getting like involved. So like Cliff came on the cruise with me. And then they would start to like they would have meetings separate, like the guys and then the girls. And the guys would go do like real manly stuff, and then the girls would go to the spa. I'm like, I want to go drive race cars.
Yeah,
right? Like how come Cliff gets it? But then like they would all talk about money. Like the guys got to handle like the money side. And that was when it started getting like really fishy for me, where I was like, that's not how this works. Like, that's not how we do it at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
whatever your thing is with your husband, like, that's fine. But yeah. And then he started like quoting stuff from like the LDS Bible and everything. And I was like, all right, I think I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah, get the fuck
on
out
my
of here.
way.
That when you just described to me reminded me of the scene of the Titanic where they're at the dinner with Jack, and then they get up and they're like, "We're gonna have a cigar now," and then it's like,
it was
the
like
lady,
that. It was.
Like that.
They're like, "Oh, husband's meeting," but get your husband involved. Like, why? This is my thing now. Like, why
Yeah.
do I?
True.
How come your husband isn't here with you? I'm like, because he's fucking at home working, or
Yeah,
like he's taking
why?
care of our kids. Like, why?
He has a life outside.
Your husband, they were getting women to get their husbands to quit their jobs.
No.
So that they were fully indoctrinated.
In there.
And knowing that
It's
that was
legitimately
like,
a cult.
oh, big time. And
Yeah.
like
Well,
knowing
Mikey
that they
Manuel.
had to rely on this family to help them make their money. Yeah, it was crazy.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I know. I don't even know if Mikey would remember that, but I was just like, it
Well,
just
he hit-
sticks
he-
in
yeah,
my
he hit the
my
nail right
brain.
on his head.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had people really quitting the jobs. My
Yeah.
God.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
the same thing. Like, have you ever watched like those Netflix documentaries of like the religious cults?
Yeah.
I think
Like
there's one-
NXIVM.
Yeah,
and,
Waco, I
yeah,
think,
the-
was
well,
one. That was a really
crazy.
crazy
Yeah, Waco.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had them. Yeah, they like, or
They
it's same
truly-
thing with that. They said Charles, not is Charles Manson the right guy? That serial killer or something that like hypnotized
He
the,
had,
the
like, a
family.
family,
Colton.
the
Yeah,
family,
the
yeah.
family. Same shit. Yeah.
So
It's
crazy.
wild, but glad you're here.
Yeah.
glad you're here. Made
I
it
know.
out.
Made it out alive.
Well, but look though, it served its purpose.
It did,
It
yeah.
got you out of the
definitely.
financial burden that
It
you
did.
were in.
And that's my
Perfect.
thing. Like, I can be like as jaded as I want to be about like MLMs now, but
Yeah.
I always know like it helped us so much.
Yeah.
And then like I met these women that I never would have met before. They live all over the country, right?
Yeah.
So, which is really cool. We talk every day. Like,
awesome.
they're the only girls that I've talked to every day forever in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
which
Definitely.
is cool. So yeah, I did that. Just that little blip there with the cult, and
I love how you just like slid that in. You're just like talking about something
Yeah.
else, and I made a bunch of money from a pyramid
Yeah.
scheme. But anyway, yeah,
I started
the
laughing,
donut
like
shop.
thinking like you were making a joke, and
No.
no, that's
no,
perfect.
that was the success story. I was one of the small percentage.
That's cool.
Oh fuck.
The girl that I signed up under, she was making like $500,000 a month sometimes. It was crazy. They had like over 600 people on their
$500,000 a
team.
month.
And just because of the way that she strategically built it, it literally made her the most amount of money she could make.
I'm assuming she's also under investigation now.
No, because we were like independent contractors.
Yo,
So
so she
they're-
just made
yeah.
$6 million a year.
So they like their biggest thing was that we weren't employees, right? So like when we signed the contract, you're not an employee. So because then we're not like given
No
specific
benefits, all that,
rights,
yeah.
right? So like whatever. So we're contractors. But that bit them in the ass because
Fuck yeah.
none of those people could get in trouble because she had nothing to do with the company. She just was very
Sure.
smart and business minded.
Yeah.
And she just did what she needed to do. You know what I mean? And
She probably
worked for
she
her.
probably knew exactly what the hell was going
she did.
on.
She knew.
Yeah, for
She knew.
sure.
She's one of the
Yeah.
the girls that I'm still really close with. We talk
Yeah.
every day. Like she stayed at my house for like a whole summer one time.
That's awesome.
She just is super smart, super business minded, and she knew exactly what she was doing. She knew.
yeah.
And she knew too,
she
like
made
she
millions.
started to kind of like investigate a little bit on like the clothing district itself, like going in and seeing like, all right, how much are they actually buying this stuff for? Like, what is it costing them to make it? And then what could I get it for? So like they were upcharging us already. So like we were basically like tripling, right? So they're already upcharging us 50%. Then we're upcharging 50%. So people were paying like this crazy amount of money for a shirt that cost them like $3
Yeah.
to make, and they were paying like $65.
I want to look this up now.
You'll have to look it up.
I'm going to Google
LuLaRoe.
LuLaRoe.
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking look
You're going to go down the rabbit hole. Go on Reddit. That's
Reddit?
what you should do.
So
Yeah.
Reddit's always the website.
Always just like,
I need to find out everything dirty about it. I'm going to go on Reddit.
LuLaRoe. I cannot wait to see what these patterns are.
It's so funny.
Because
oh my God, it's terrible.
Isn't it funny how when the decades pass or when generations pass, while you're wearing the clothes, right? You're like, oh, this is fucking cool. And then you look back like 10 years, what the fuck was I doing?
They started putting out patterns that even like the day they'd come out, we'd be like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yes.
And we'd be like, nobody's going to buy that. And then people would buy it. And just
it's kind of one of the things you're like, and then, how's this working?
And then they actually partnered with Disney. So they took us all to Disney in California and they announced this big partnership with Disney. So we were like, yes, like this is going to fix everything. So it was almost like one last like grasp, right? And then the fucking Disney prints were horrific. And I'm like, nobody's going to buy this shit. So how is Disney even letting you put this out there?
Sure enough, people would buy it?
People would buy it and wear it all over to these freaking parks and hunt for it. Like some of these people would be like on the hunt looking for this stuff. It was crazy. It was really crazy.
I'm sitting here baffled.
Yeah.
That's a fucking cool story.
Shit. Yeah. So
that was fun. And a company like that sponsoring or partnering with Disney, you're like, okay, this got to be legit. There's some legitimacy to this.
Yeah. No,
wow,
that's crazy.
That's a cool story.
Yeah,
it is. That's like definitely the hidden gem of Pure right there. Ashley Gauthier.
Yeah, one of them.
The MLM.
Yeah. So then, I tried like to start my own little boutique just to see like, oh, maybe I can just source my own stuff. And I started making some things and I love to be like super creative. So like I was making earrings and signs and all this shit. And then it ends up not being fun, when you're like forced to do it.
When you're forced to do it.
Yeah. So I was like, this really isn't my thing. Then I was like building boutiques for people online, like Shopify websites and stuff, like doing like some outsourcing. And then I started working at Pure.
Cool.
I still did some of that stuff on the side for a little while, but then I was like, I think I'm just happy up here.
Well, that's perfect. I mean, hey, once you find it, you found what you needed, right?
Right.
You did something and then tried another thing, right? Mm-hmm. Just to find out that that's not what you want is very clutch.
Yeah.
So that's good.
So it was good. Yeah. Super fun.
Holy crap.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the cult back here. Well, people always say like in joke online that jiu-jitsu is a cult, but it's like, it may be.
It might be.
It might be a cult.
It is. I feel like once you're like in you find like your place, right? So like I know like how Adrian is. Like Lobo's definitely a cult. You know what I mean? Like people get upset. Like Adrian is a super fun. He's a great coach. He's so enthusiastic, and it's like people can't help but want to be around somebody like that.
Yeah. Sure.
So like he's always going to attract people that are looking for that type of thing. And like Pure, like we're super laid back. Like it's just like a good like welcoming community, and we're always going to attract people that are looking for something like that. So it is, like an indoctrination, right?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
When people sign up for 6 months, I'm like, you're going to sign up for a month, and then you're going to be like, why didn't I sign up for 6 months? You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
yeah, you definitely. Oh, what's up, bud?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I mean, by definition, it's kind of like a cult, but it's not always a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Like it's actually a really good community and culture to be a part of something like that. But I think it gets a little weird when like people throw the Bible into it and then like drinking special juices and stuff.
Yeah,
that's the weird.
No Kool-Aid. No Kool-Aid.
Wait, are we talking about jiu-jitsu?
Just cults in general.
Oh, just cults in general. I was gonna be like,
I'm drinking all the honest supplements like BCAAs. Does that count?
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, are you guys hiding Kool-Aid at Pure?
No, just the BCAAs behind my desk. $30, I think. $60. I don't remember.
She's got a few people under her actually.
Yeah, she does.
I do. It is really. It's a pyramid.
It is
black belts.
Black belts. Yeah. Brown belts, purple belts.
You see, Mikey's here, and then I'm here.
Yeah. Except everyone's not making everyone money. Everyone's kicking the shit out of the other person. So you're getting your ass handed to you.
Yeah.
I like that.
So funny.
It's pyramid scheme jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Love it.
So what's next for you with jiu-jitsu?
I'm just teaching more, I think. And trying to focus on different parts of my game that I might have like let fall to the wayside. You know, you kind of like focus on one thing and you're like, oh, this is my shit. And then you use it for so long and then you're like, oh man, I guess I should start guard passing again.
Yeah, right.
because I'm just like an open guard player. So now I'm like, well, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
That's really it.
What's jiu-jitsu mean to you?
It's really like my family. It is. It's like, it is. I mean, I live there basically, right? It's my second home. How often are you there that I'm not there?
God, yeah,
I'm either right there as soon as you walk in or I'm on the mat.
Yep.
Or just talking to people. You know, I like am so enthusiastic about being there because I love it so much that I love to talk to other people about how much they're going to love it.
That's
right.
awesome.
So like, that's what you need in a manager. So I feel like Mikey and Andy got lucky because, it's like, I just want it to be successful. So it's always around.
Yeah. Perfect.
Right? So,
And that's why it is successful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely.
That's cool.
I actually want to know, because we have a lot of listeners that are in the jiu-jitsu community, and we do have women jiu-jitsu listeners. What's it like? What's your career like been as like as a woman in jiu-jitsu? Like, how has that been for you? Like, do you see that like your interactions with the men on the mats are positive, negative, etc., like all that stuff?
So I'll start out by saying before I met Cliff, I was in a really abusive relationship. I was actually engaged when I met Cliff, and I didn't break up because I met Cliff. It wasn't like one of those things, but I wasn't raised to be super submissive, but like I have an older sister and she always got into trouble. So I kind of learned like what not to do, but like I took it to the extreme where like I never wanted to be a burden. And I was like, I would never like ask my dad. My mom never drove. So like my dad was the one that always had to like drive me places. And I grew up in Essex County. So like I could walk a lot of places, but then we moved up to Sussex. So like I went from Essex County living like at the bottom of Eagle Rock Ave in West Orange to living in Sussex. Totally like culture shock.
Middle of the
Can't
woods.
do it. Literally off of Berkshire Valley Road in Jefferson. So like, when we moved, it got even worse because I was like, you know, it was like 20 minutes to go anywhere instead of like just down the road. So like I would never ask for anything. I never wanted to be a burden. And then I started to kind of like be like, you know, I'm 18 now, still living at home, or 17, whatever I was, but I was graduated high school. I was working full time. I had my own insurance, my own health insurance. And like my dad still gave me a curfew because I had a younger sister. So I was like, and I was paying rent. So I was like, I'm paying rent and I have a curfew and like I have my own insurance. So like I started kind of like getting like a little big for my britches. Yeah. And I met this guy who was older than me. And like, I just wanted to do like everything with him. And essentially like I took my like, not like that I was submissive to my parents, but like the not wanting to, like I was a pushover basically. I went from that to being like submissive in this relationship with this older guy because I thought that it was like making me more adult, right? So like I'm like, all right, this is how I'm gonna, like I'm grown up now. I don't need to be home. I'm gonna move out. I'm gonna take care of myself. So I went from literally like this, like being home all the time, not asking for anything, to moving out completely on my own. And it was the typical like, eventually he managed to get me separated from like my whole family and then like all my friends. So I was like essentially just like relying on him. And it was terrible. And obviously like looking back, a lot of times you can be like, you'll see like a girl in a relationship be like, and you're like, I don't understand why she stays. But it's like when you're there, you don't realize, like you kind of do, but it's like almost easier. It seems easier to stay. Right. Mm-hmm. And then it was the same thing. Like I was like, well, if I leave, then I have to go back to my parents and be like a burden on them because I'm the one that chose to leave. And then it's also like, then you're admitting that you were wrong. You know what I mean? So it's like there's just this mind game that you play with yourself. So long story short, it was like a very emotionally abusive turned physically abusive relationship. And I met Cliff because I was working at a bank at the time, and it just happened to be the bank that the cops from his department cashed their paycheck at. And his brother worked with me. So like I knew who his brother was, and then I had realized that they were brothers or whatever. And he gave his number to one of the girls to give to me, and or inquired about me or something. And that was like the thing that was like there is somebody else. Like there's more out there. You know what I mean? Like it didn't matter that it was him. It was just the fact that I realized like, why am I like stuck. I'm 21 years old, like with this guy who just is like literally beating the shit out of me, has like a drug problem. And there's other stuff out there. Like, why don't I need to just like gather up my pride and leave. And unfortunately, when I left, it was due to like a pretty bad incident that we had, and I left. And then I went on my first date with Cliff like a week later with a black eye. Like that, if that's not a testament to like the type of guy that Cliff is, because like he knew, and I showed up like that, and he's always from day one just been like an amazing person. But I never thought that I needed something to make me more secure. Like I never felt like insecure. I've just been me. I've always just been the same way. And then I started doing jiu-jitsu, and still it never like made me feel powerful like right away until I started doing things on my own. So like one of the things previously was that I never was alone. Like I never lived on my own. I was never allowed to go out and like do something by myself with like friends that didn't include the guy that I was with at the time. Like it was just very like I was alone. Like it was just me all the time to myself. And I started like going out to like concerts by myself. And like one time I found myself at a concert in Philly and had to park really far away. And it was like by the bridge. It's not like the greatest area. And I was walking down the street at night by myself. And like it dawned on me. I'm like, holy shit, like I actually feel confident. Like normally I would be like looking over my shoulder. And I'm like, it doesn't make me nervous that I'm walking here by myself at night. Like a blonde girl, like young, you know what I mean? I was like 29. And that was when I started to realize like how jiu-jitsu really changed me. And it just has helped me grow into I'm a very secure person now. I obviously still have my insecurities, like my good old imposter syndrome, especially on the mat. But I'm in this like facility that's just men. Right. So like a lot of times women will shy away from that. And that's what I find when girls are coming in. It's very off-putting. Like, especially you go in, you're a girl, you see all these sweaty guys, and then you got to get in these like weird positions with them. You know what I mean? It's so weird. Awkward. It's a very awkward thing.
It is. Not that, because even when you're rolling, there's never a sexual feeling, but it's still awkward.
It's just like, even just drilling, like your first time drilling and you're a female in a class and there's no other girls there. And like this dude is just wrapping his legs around me. It's just like a very vulnerable type of feeling. And then I started realizing as I started to get involved with like the leads coming in from the website that we would have girls that would come with interest because they were just getting out of a relationship like the relationship that I was in, which really made me be like, all right, like this is how I'm gonna this is gonna help me, but I'm gonna help these. I made it my mission. Like I'm gonna help these girls like feel the way that I felt when I realized what jiu-jitsu did for me. You know what I mean? So with regard to like the guys like on the mats and stuff, I don't really have any issues, and I'm pretty outspoken. Now I am. I never used to be, so I'll thank jiu-jitsu for that also. Nice. I'll just straight up be like, dude, I'm not rolling with you. Yeah. Actually, you know what? It was funny. I didn't even realize that I did it one time, but apparently I told Trevor off. Really? Like went back when I was like a blue belt. Yeah. And I told him like, I'm not fucking rolling with you anymore. I hate rolling with you. You're a douche when we roll. And I didn't remember that happening. And then I think it was like when I was a later purple belt, or maybe even after I got my brown belt, he like came up to me. He's like, I just want you to know, like when you said that to me, I really took it to heart. And I feel like I have dialed back and like inwardly reflected on like what my jiu-jitsu is when I'm rolling with females. So I want you to know that like you're safe to roll with me now. Oh, and I awesome. Still like, I fucking hate rolling with Trevor. You know what I mean? No, he's a fine training partner. But it means something when somebody can reflect, right, at something. So like that's why, and I tell the girls this, like I had like a powwow with them one time, and I was like, listen, if there's ever like something that makes you uncomfortable that a guy does, because it's bound to happen. There's so many people, right? Absolutely. And I always say we're lucky because we don't have a lot of drama at Pure, but we do get drama every now and then. Somebody shows up, and eventually it ends up being that they kind of work themselves out of it because it's just not their vibe. And you can tell, right? After a little while, you're like, yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about this guy. And then he ends up not sticking around anyway. So
Gotcha.
you kind of were like right with your intuition. But I tell the girls all the time, I'm like, if you have something that happens, say something. Like say something. And if you really are like, you don't want to say something in the heat of the moment, or you feel like you're going to come off as like being over the top, like tell me. Like I'll say something. Or if it's something that needs to be brought to the attention of Mikey and Andy, I'll say something. You know what I mean? But it's so important to be your own voice.
Yeah.
And that's something that I learned in jiu-jitsu, really, because I never did it before. Like and Cliff has always pushed me. He's always supported me no matter like what I'm doing, but he's always pushed me to like be my own person, make sure, you know, like I had an issue with somebody on the mat a few years ago, and I was like so scared to tell him because I was afraid of how he was going to react. Like it was another guy. And and I felt terrible because it actually made me feel bad about myself for a minute, because I reacted when it happened, and the guy definitely knew that like he fucked up. But then like afterwards, I didn't say anything to anybody because I was like, oh, maybe I overreacted. Right. So then I'm like thinking to myself, like, was I just like feeling emotional? Am I overreacting? Do I say something? And then finally, like 2 hours later, I still felt like shit. Like I felt like off about it. And I was like, all right, no, like definitely I didn't overreact. So I told Andy and I was like, listen, I took care of it myself. But like, I'm telling you because now you need to be aware that this is an issue, because if it happens to somebody, another girl that doesn't take care of it herself, you could potentially be losing client. You know what I mean? Like things like that. Mm-hmm. But then like when I finally told Cliff, I was like, it's okay. I already took care of it. Like we're good. I was my own voice. You don't have to do anything. And I mean, he was fucking pissed, but
wow.
Yeah, Cliff's a big dude too.
Dude, I know.
And he's tough. He's brown belt. He's fucking good.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to fuck with Cliff.
Yeah.
No, yeah, he's scary.
Yeah.
You know, not the Marine Corps does that to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I tell the girls all the time, like, just speak up. You have to, right?
Absolutely.
Because you can't let people think it's okay if something is bothering you. You just can't. And then go and avoid it all the time? Like, then you're never going to have any training partners.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I hope that answered your question.
That answered it perfectly. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And you're full of really interesting, like, you know, stories that are.
Well, I listened to Phil's episode.
Yeah.
Just last week, and I was like, am I interesting enough to be on this show? Like, Phil's episode was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, like, Remo's was my favorite. I was cracking up.
He will do anything for
I
pasta.
know. Me and Cooper were talking about we have to like, because I can sublimate like on rash guard material.
This is amazing.
I'm like, I have to like.
You gotta make him
think of something that's not like vulgar, because he's always there when the kids are there.
True.
But like something that people are gonna understand.
Yo, I think you said a really good idea, and I'll talk you offline. And I think it'll work.
Yeah,
it's good. Yeah,
that's so funny.
That's great.
Yeah,
love that guy. What's up, Remo?
Great.
Yeah, no, but you know what's funny, and those episodes, and you know, generally everyone's episode is very interesting. Mm-hmm. But you know what you said is, and I'll reiterate this all the time. Whenever we ask people to come on the show, they're always like, dude, why I have nothing to say.
Right. Then
you open your mouth and you start telling your story. Yeah. Everyone's story is really powerful in one way. Right. And yeah, same as yours.
Well, Don, you know that Joe only invited me because I called him out.
Yeah, okay.
I called him out because the first episode I listened to was the Scott Cooper episode.
Okay.
And he said that Scott Cooper is the face of Pure MMA.
Oh, did he now?
I was hoping you were going to bury that.
He was like, no. He's like, no way, I didn't say that. Or no, I definitely brought you up. And I was like, nope, you didn't. And I was just busting on him. He's like, no, I'm going to go listen. I'm going to go listen again and make sure. And I'm like, all right. And literally he messaged me that night and he was like, I'm so sorry. I didn't say it. He's like, I did say that. And I didn't say anything about
you. Do you know who else did not like that I didn't mention him? Joey Campese.
Oh, I mean... Yeah,
no, but like you, I literally was like,
if I'm the face of Pure MMA, Joe is like the jester.
The jester.
He's like the court jester. He is.
I think he would.
He's
love
always kind of like in the background, entertaining people when he needs to be there. Nice, you know what I mean? He just randomly shows up. Sometimes has something funny to say.
Yo, I remember
was Joe paid for it on the mat. Oh, ever since then, I'm sure.
With
he's
me,
paid
I don't
for it.
know. I feel like
our roles are they're fine.
Probably.
And I'm actually honored that you roll with me because I know that, like, you know how you just said before that you know who you don't want to roll with.
Yeah.
That means I'm not being an asshole.
No,
So it's good.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm very vocal about that too.
Yeah.
Like if I don't roll with you, it's probably because like there's something that I'm just don't feel like dealing with.
Yeah. For sure.
Oh man, I was gonna say something about Joe Campese. Now I can't remember what it was. Whatever.
Oh man.
I was gonna say the difference in that when the guys started getting used to me being around, it's so funny. So like Campese and Troy, like they're always in the one room like doing training and stuff, and I'm always there during the day before classes, like getting work done or cleaning up or whatever, and you could tell like there was a shift where like they would kind of PG they're joking, right? Or like how loudly they would say things when I'd be around, to like now I literally like bring my laptop in there just to be like a part of the comedy show. Yes. Like it's fucking hilarious. Like they realize that they don't have to have like a language barrier between in front of me and then it's just like it's gone. There's none. They're just like no holds barred.
Nice.
Oh yeah. No, there's some between me, Campese, and Scott when we do privates, there are some insane stuff that's said.
Yep.
Yeah. That would be a good podcast.
Oh my god.
I mean, explicit podcast.
It would be a very explicit.
It would be very nice, but I tell Joey too. I'm like, Joe, you want to come on? He's like, I think, and Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong or wrist lock me if I'm wrong, but I think it was I'll only go on Joe Rogan's podcast. Well, we are essentially Joe Rogan's podcast.
Right. The same but different.
It's just a branch off. It's
just a branch off. Yeah.
Talk about
MLM.
Yeah, there it is. The pyramid.
Oh god. Awesome. So let's get to some questions. So we got some good questions. And actually the topic we're on segues pretty well for with Adrian's and Cheyenne's. Okay. Oh, look at that. It took me like 5 seconds this time.
I'm actually a little bit impressed.
Better at
it. Yeah. Adrian, who's your favorite drunk alter ego? I think I know your answer.
Drunk alter ego. It's Wanwani, obviously.
Who's Wanwani?
Do you know? You guys don't know about Wanwani? No. So Adrian has this an alter ego of when he's drunk.
Adrian does?
Wanwani, yes. And he made his own Facebook account.
He fucking would.
He's a white belt in jiu-jitsu. He's very awkward. He has pictures with his white belt tied incorrectly. He has his own Snapchat account. He's commented on multiple things. He started rumors.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
So just for our audience who may not know who Adrian is, like everything Ashley just described, Adrian is the opposite of. So it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is literally, if I could describe Adrian, this is exactly something he would do.
It is. That's his alter ego. Wanwani. Yeah. He had his own social media.
I always make a joke about Adrian and his social media because I'm like, oh no, I got all these notifications, and then it's like Adrian's 7 different accounts liking my stuff.
Guy.
Or like I'll get a random text from Adrian, and like literally he'll like text me and be like, hey, did I leave my Nogi stuff at Pure? Like that's the extent of our conversation.
Yeah.
And then like I'll get a random text from Adrian, it'll come up, and I'm like, oh, this could be important, right? And I open it, and it's like his new song about cider. I saw a cider, and it's like modeled after the Tiger Kings. I saw a tiger.
I fucking love
amazing.
It. I fucking love
like,
it.
Or it's like a new episode of Cider Guys, and I'm just like, oh my
He
God.
texted me the one day with, it was like I think it was when ChatGPT first came out.
Oh yeah.
Some sort of bot texted me, and it was like talking all kinds of shit to me, and I'm like, what is this? He goes, oh no, it wasn't me, man. Like, it was just
he's so funny.
AI.
He's
or whatever.
definitely
So
a character.
Or was it him?
Yeah.
And he's just using chat.
It could potentially be. Yeah.
It's
you
impossible.
Never know. You never know.
Awesome. I'm going to move on to Cheyenne. She has 3 things here, but one of them, I'm just going to start off with a nice little praise. She goes, thanks, Ashley, for being such an amazing coach and role model to us women. You are appreciated.
She's so cute.
Yeah, she is. And then question. How does one escape Ashley's high amount of intense discomfort and inevitable doom? Is this possible?
Yes, don't get there.
I'm so glad you said that.
Don't allow it to happen.
Hold on a second. There's such a backstory about this past weekend where I was. Those listening there, that was perfect answer. I'm actually one of the. Fuck. Where was the other? Oh. His question. Okay. Matt Mallard, his question was, how do you get out of mount?
Oh, that's so funny.
Shout out to you.
Yes.
So it's perfect. Just don't get there, bro.
Yeah,
don't get there. That was the running
Don't
joke.
allow it to happen.
Don't allow it to happen. And then Cheyenne again is going to say, I heard that Ashley has taught Andy Main everything he knows. Is this true? Did you teach Andy Main everything Andy knows?
She, when we started doing his videos, when he started using me as an uke for his videos, she started commenting because weirdly, we don't have similar body types, obviously, Andy and I, but for my height, I have long legs.
Yeah.
So like my torso is short. So a lot of his stuff really works for me. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because now when we both teach on Thursdays, but he's teaching in the gray room and I'm teaching in the red room, and literally like 95% of the time, like I'll go in for class after our classes end and he'll be like, what did you teach? Or he'll be teaching already. And it's the exact same thing that I just taught in girls class.
Wow, that's great.
So like there's a lot of his stuff that's like part of my game, and it's like a mesh of him and Joe, and then like a little Mikey sprinkled in there with like his like spider guard and stuff. But she started joking because like I would show her something or use something, and then Andy would do a video of like something similar, and she would comment underneath like, oh, Andy, it's so nice that you're letting Ashley showcase her. And literally he'd be like, I'm like, she's just saying this shit. She's trying to get me like destroyed by Andy. So then like we'd have a roll and he would just like beat the shit out of me with like the one thing that she commented on.
That's great.
So now she's always like, oh, hey Andy, are you teaching Ashley's moves again? So it's just like this running, awesome. Like she's trying to get my ass kicked.
I love it. Oh my God. That's amazing, Cheyenne. Next one is Tim Gentry. What's up, brother? He's a purple belt, by the way, so this will help you answer his question. What are some tips to incorporate new techniques into your game?
I always just try to stick with things that are within my comfort zone that I'm going to add in. So like, for instance, I love open guard, but if I see something that somebody uses that I'm like, I've never thought of doing that, I'll make a mental note and say like, I'm going to try to at least get to the position first a few times, like in a few rolls this week, and then add in like, I'm going to try to at least set up the sub, right? Like get to the setup and see if I can like maintain some control. More than likely you're going to fail, right? A bunch of times, but at least then I'm getting like that muscle memory of getting to that spot, setting up that submission, and then like eventually trying to move into keeping the submission and then finishing it. So
awesome.
Always just having a plan for implementing it inside your comfort zone. I'm not big for like, oh, let me go try this like new lapel thing when I play like no lapel guard. You know what I mean? Like, why am I going to add that in if it doesn't even like segue into like where my other stuff is? You know what I mean?
Got it. Yeah. So build up and stay within your comfort zone.
I mean, that's just for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm like older. I'm not looking to be like IBJJF champion. You know, maybe Masters 3, I think it is, or 2 now. But no, I'm not like big at that.
This next one is a funny one. It's coming in from Eric Todd. What's up, brother? This one's just for me. He goes, this is for Joe. What is his favorite sausage and why? Also, was Eileen's sausage and waffles the peak of perfection for breakfast on the morning? Yes. My favorite sausage is big ones and Italian ones. I'm just kidding.
Somehow I knew that already.
Yeah, sausage. No, but the backstory to that is there was this really, really such a sweet, like Louisiana 60-year-old woman that was making breakfast that morning. And her name was Eileen. And she was like, oh, darling, I'm going to make you a nice little waffle. I'm going to put a sausage in it. And she legit made me a fucking waffle with a sausage in it. It was banging.
Sounds amazing.
Yes, dude.
So Joe likes sausage in his waffles for anybody that...
Yeah, that, and then Remo likes his pasta. And I like my sausage. So maybe we should do like a waffle sausage pasta.
Or just sausage pasta.
Yeah, why not? All right, Remo, me and
Remo,
you.
make it up, man.
Yeah, Remo, cook it up for you.
Me and Ashley will be the taste testers.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you for that question, brother. All right, now we're going to get to some funny ones. God. We're always going to end with Anthony.
Yep, that's fine.
But we have Scott
Cooper.
What is it like being married to the New Jersey Donut King?
I mean, I feel like Scott and Cliff and James are like a throuple. So he would know what it's like being married to Cliff.
Oh, God.
And the joke that he's strong back there. Like, Cliff's lats are massive.
Yeah,
right?
he's fucking big.
Joe, he takes private lessons with Campese too, and he has this one like reversal from bottom side control that literally works on everybody, and Joe hates it.
I know what you're talking about.
And Campese is like, that doesn't work on me, and then Cliff hits on him. He's like, I don't understand why, and Cliff just goes, I'm strong back there. So that's like the, so Scott, it's he's strong back there, so it's really good being married to him.
That's perfect. Who is your bucket list training partner?
I would love to train with Fionn Davies.
Okay.
Do you know who she is?
Isn't she like that? Like
she's from the UK.
Uh-huh.
She's a
no,
black
then
belt.
I don't know who
she
is
just
now.
won ADCC in her weight class.
Oh,
the blonde with the lashes.
Yep.
She's training now at. She just got approved for her visa, her work visa.
Yeah.
To train over here, so she's training with JT Torres in, I think it's like Connecticut or like White Plains, New York or something. So she's so close.
Yo, you can.
And
I
was messaging with her when she was here before ADCC about having like a workshop, like a female workshop or something. I just have a feeling she's gonna be like $5,000 to have her come. You know what I mean? But I would just love to roll with her, just to get absolutely fucking demolished.
Hey,
she would demolish me.
That's the fun part
She's
about
amazing. Her and then Brianna St. Marie.
Okay.
She's from Canada. She's equally also ADCC winner. They're all in the Polaris card this week on Saturday.
Yeah.
There's a Grand Prix.
Oh, cool. Nice. Awesome. Yeah. So Fiona Davies?
Fionn
Davies. Ashley is here and waiting to roll with you.
Yes.
If she's even
listening.
If you're listening. If you're listening.
I'm sure
she listens.
Eventually.
I think she texted me. She's like, hey, just won ADCC. I was like, oh, cool.
Can you have me on? No, we got this other black belt on tonight.
Yeah. More important. Better.
The face of Pure MMA.
The face of Pure MMA, for sure. You said it here. See, now I'm forgiven, right? Exactly. Mm-hmm. No. All right. And last but not least, Anthony, what's up, brother? To wrap it up, this is his fun question. If two mind readers read each other's minds at the same time, whose mind are they reading? I don't know.
I feel like it would be a blank.
If two mind readers, say it again.
If two mind readers read each other's minds at the same time, whose mind are they reading? This is such an Anthony question.
It is.
You definitely, dude. Do you Google these? Bro,
he must.
He does. He told me he does.
Okay,
he
good.
Does.
Keep doing it.
He Googles like, what do you even put into the search bar?
I don't know.
Unanswerable questions.
Yeah, exactly.
Party icebreakers.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know, it's a never-ending loop of reading your own mind at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Jesus. I guess.
Or the other guys.
I don't know. I'm not answering.
I'm gonna Google his answers to his questions.
I'm gonna ask him what the answer is.
Yeah. Okay, so hey, Ashley just shot that back at you, brother. Now you gotta answer it.
When Anthony comes back on, Anthony's gonna come back on the show. I think we should ask him every single one of his questions.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
See what his response.
Can you access the old questions?
Yeah. Absolutely. That's happening, bro. You're fucked. Don't worry.
That's a good idea.
Now, so this is actually a really cool one. What do you wish you spent more time doing or learning 5 years ago?
More time doing 5 years ago. What year was that? Like 2017?
Yeah. 2017.
Probably jiu-jitsu. That actually was when I was like not falling off, but I think it might have been when I was a blue belt. Mm-hmm. And that was when I was selling LuLaRoe and I was traveling a bunch. So like, the cult kind of kept me out of the gym. I was there, but not like not even like half of the amount of time that I train now, which is a lot. Like I'm there.
You're there all the time.
An insane amount. But I would say that I do wish that I had like given myself more time to be on the mat as a blue belt and a purple belt to like make my game more well-rounded.
Awesome.
So focus on those like fundamentals and stuff.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yep.
Could
I think I'd probably have the same answer. Yeah. Because there's nothing I would change about my life because it all happened for a reason.
Right.
Got me to right here, which is great. But at the same time, if I were to change something, I guess, I would probably start jiu-jitsu 5 years ago.
Yeah, I would. I say it all the time. I wish I started earlier.
Yeah.
Same.
Like I look at these kids that are coming in at like 21 years old, like Brandon and Alex Rios and them, and I'm like, man, when they're my age, they're going to be so fucking good.
They're 21.
They're like 23, 24.
Jesus, no
I think, because Brandon just said today he was born in 2010. So he's 23.
Okay.
I'm like, born in 2010. I was already out of high school.
Yeah, what the fuck? Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's
these
crazy.
good, all like these young guys that like pick it up so quickly and they're so good. It's annoying. I'm
It's
like,
awesome.
I was not that good when I was a blue belt. It's not fair.
Hey, you know what though? At least all the stuff that you want to learn now,
Yeah.
you can learn as a black belt now.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
You're always learning, right?
And I'm always there. So
Exactly.
right.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So you're gonna beat the crap out of them.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys, for your questions. I mean, guess the answer. Yeah, jiu-jitsu. I did it back in 2010 as well, and I stopped for freaking 3 months and kicked myself in the ass. But it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Awesome.
guys, for all the amazing questions. This has been a really, really fun part of the show. So keep sending those in every week.
Yeah. And also, thanks to you, Ashley, for coming on.
Yeah,
because
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. You have an incredible story.
My little nuggets there.
Yeah.
Colt. And,
Yeah. The cool. Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a really, really fun episode. It's
Yeah.
been great chatting it up, and
Has
you're
been.
welcome. You're welcome back anytime.
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely.
I'll have to send Cliff over first.
Well,
You guys can,
yes. We should definitely have Cliff on first, and then we should do an episode with you and Cliff on. Yeah. And then, because you said that would be fun. I don't think we would have to talk. We would just
probably not.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It's so funny.
Awesome.
Cool,
man.
Does he have any closing comments for our audience or anything?
No, I don't think so. But you guys can follow me on Instagram if you want to. It's Ashley_G1212.
Cool.
That's
All right.
really it.
Awesome.
Cool.
Nice.
Well, guys, that's the show. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow Ashley. Hit up her donut shop in Denville, and check out Pure MMA if you want to get into jiu-jitsu and all the other things that they do as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, Joe.
Awesome. No, that's it. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you next week.
You're listening. We'll take it from here with Joe and Don.